Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning.
In 2010, Nickelodeon Studios released their live-action adaptation of their popular animated TV show, Avatar: The Last Airbender, that ran from 2005 to 2008. Now, many were looking forward to this adaptation, seeing that the show had been gone for 2 years. And with all the rich storytelling and interesting characters, they figured there was no way that any studio could mess up this movie.
It sucked.
It sucked.
It's terrible.
It's horrible.
I really didn't like it.
The movie could have been as bad as it is right now, and if they had just called him Aang once!
I don't think, did any of you guys like the movie?
No! Well, dang. Never mind. Now, director M. Night Shyamalan has a very long track record. Some really good, but in the last decade, not so good. He's actually a really fascinating guy when you think about it. I mean, it was only about 20 or so years ago that we were hailing him as the next Spielberg. Yeah, we did that. And then the next thing you know, we're getting, well, this.
What? No!
People were so baffled about this jarring change. This man who was giving us genius storytelling is now giving us unintentionally funny slop. And he seems like a good guy. He's definitely talented. But for some reason, either hubris or luck running out, I don't know, he's just been on a really bad track record of bad movies. Actually, sometime after this movie came out, there was this situation in this movie theater where the entire crowd of people in the theater just booed, like as loud as they can, as soon as his name came up on screen for a trailer. Like, it's just crazy to think about. This guy was at the top of his game and then suddenly is the joke of Hollywood. But people still worked with him. You know, Will Smith and his son decided to make that daddy-son day project. And it makes sense still. He is a talented director. It's just he makes stuff like this. At the start of the film, we meet two of our main characters, Sokka and Katara. Now, the first thing you might notice, especially if you are a fan of the original show, is that it's not only the snow that's super white out today. Now, no one really knows why M. Night decided to go this direction by casting white leads instead of getting, you know, any type of Asian actor or something to play these roles. But other movies have casted different races before, so maybe it's not that big of a deal. But it still makes it awkward then that he decides to go with a more Asian pronunciation for some of the characters' names.
So, are you the Avatar Ong?
Heck, you look at the entire Southern Water Tribe village, and everybody else is Inuit except for the main Water Tribe members. So it really doesn't make M. Night look that good when it comes to the whole race bending thing. Another thing that you might notice real quick is the acting is not that top notch.
That child is being arrested.
For what?
He was bending tiny stones at us from behind a tree. It really hurt.
And I'm not going to put it all on the actors. There's definitely some directorial thing going on there with the acting. But some of these actors aren't really known for portraying light-hearted characters that much. Specifically the guy who plays Sokka. I mean, the last thing I saw him playing in is Twilight as the very brooding, bloodthirsty vampire of the group. So I don't know if that exactly was good casting on their part. And then when we get to the actor who plays Aang, there's actually a really good reason why his acting isn't that great. And no, it's not because he's a kid. It's because he's not an actor. yeah, the kid is actually just a straight up martial artist, and he submitted a audition tape to M. Night and the crew to play Aang. And it wasn't his acting skills that impressed M. Night. No, it was his moves. So M. Night, he had the bright idea, he had the genius idea that maybe instead of getting an actor and teaching him how to fight, he will get a fighter and teach him how to act. Genius. Of course, the final product kind of shows that doesn't really work. The only really solid actor in the movie is Dev Patel playing Zuko. Now, yeah, his race isn't exactly what is depicted in Avatar: The Last Airbender, but at least he's some kind of Asian. And on top of that, his acting actually matches that of Zuko from the show. Sometimes you hear his voice and it kind of sounds like something Zuko would say, but unfortunately he's in this movie, so his acting can't really save much. So one of the first changes that you really notice in the movie, other than the actors, is that they add this whole little test thing. You see, in the show, it was just that, you know, the Avatar is discovered once he's reincarnated into the next cycle and everything like that. And they do little tests with toys to say, hey, you know, this is a toy that you liked the last life, so this is the toy you like now. But in this, they decided to add some mystical thing with it, where they put these different elements in front of him and they just naturally attract to him. So, what? Does it just happen all the time? I mean, in the scene, it looks like it's involuntary. So that would mean every time he passes by a candle, or passes by a body of water, or passes by a boulder, those things should be just freaking out. We never see that though. So kind of makes the test look kind of stupid. But this is short-lived anyway. I mean, Aang just immediately escapes from the Fire Nation ship, jumps on Appa with the crew, and takes off just like that. Which is another problem that's in the movie, is the pacing. In the show, you had 20 to 25 minutes to get to really know the characters and get everything fleshed out. But this movie is only 90 minutes. Meaning, every important part from the show has to be sped through like it's on crack. And along with that, it sets up certain scenarios that should be epic and make sense into these just half-done scenes that you don't even need to have one brain cell to notice that something's wrong with. For example, the crew eventually finds himself in this Fire Nation occupied Earth Kingdom village where all the Earthbenders are in prison and are not allowed to use their bending. Now in the show, when we get to this part, all the Earthbenders are imprisoned on a metal ship in the middle of the ocean, so they literally have no way of fighting back. But in the movie, they're in some random Power Rangers rock quarry. I mean, even Aang points out that this is ridiculous. They have Earth beneath them. But fortunately enough, this scene is not without its delights. In that it's an unintentional delight. In that, well, just watch. It took about 50 moves to move one rock. One! Which that's another problem in the movie. The actual bending itself is just ridiculous. Stupid. It's stupid. It's just stupid. For some reason, they thought it was a good idea that each simple movement requires like 50 moves before doing it. Again, I'm going to say in the show, because this is an adaptation of something that exists. In the show, they didn't need 50 moves. They need about maybe 1 or 2 movements. It's like it's an extension of themselves. They're flowing with it and everything. In this, it looks like they're, you know, doing some Naruto sign. If this was a real life situation and some skilled marksman with a bow and arrow was just there, they would have already planted about 3 of those things in their chest before they got past the second move. Which another change they did was that they changed up the fact that the Fire Nation needs an actual outer source of fire to bend. In the show, they could kind of manifest it, and they actually explain how. But having it in this movie that they have to bend the outside source actually makes them less threatening. So when they have this giant cauldron in the middle of the prison that simply anybody could just tip over and snuff out, it makes them look like complete and utter wimps. So the gang eventually finds out that Aang is in fact the Avatar, and that they need to take him to the Northern Water Tribe so he can learn waterbending. And they just zoom on right there, just like everything else in this film. Which then we're introduced to Princess Yue, which in the show, her and Sokka kind of form a relationship after a while, and it's cute and everything. But in the movie, they just kind of expedite this process by having Katara just narrate that now they're just really close.
My brother and the princess became friends right away.
You're lying!
Which, I don't know why I would even complain about it. It's pretty much par for the course at this point. Fortunately though, the Fire Nation shows up led by this guy named General Zhao, and he plans on just ransacking the place, but most importantly, he plans on coming there to kill the ocean and moon spirits. Because you see, these guys, they control pretty much everything water. So if you kill them, you take away waterbending apparently. Which General Zhao's perspective on things is kind of in question. Because at one point someone brings up that this could be dangerous because killing, you know, a god or something would probably offset nature and everything.
The Fire Nation is too powerful to worry about children's superstitions, General Iroh.
Superstitions? Bump superstitions? You're holding a moon god in a bag. Everything's on the table. But whatever, he stabs the fish, Moon goes red, and bending goes away. But then Yue's like, hey, you know, I was given moon juice that brought me back to life once. I'm gonna give the moon juice back.
And we show the Fire Nation that we believe in our beliefs as much as they believe in theirs.
Believe it! Believe it! Believe it! Believe it!
Wow, I would be really sad right now if, you know, I spent more than 5 minutes with these characters. Which the first time I watched it, yeah, I felt something, not really, but I remember feeling something. But I realized that's mostly me inserting what I remember from the show into this film, not the film actually make me feel this way. Which is one of the main problems of the film. It's just reliant on you remembering everything from the show to make sense of anything. If you don't have that, nothing makes sense. But anyway, yeah, Moon comes back, and benders get their bending back. And Aang's like, hey, how do I stop the Fire Nation? And then Spirit Dragon dude just says, throw water on them, I guess. So he picks up a big thing of water and say, I'll do it. So they're like, oh, you gonna do it. So they paddle away. Oh yeah, and some waterbenders just kind of up and straight up murder General Zhao. Whatever. So the day is saved, everyone bows down to Aang, declaring him the new Avatar, and Aang goes back, setting up a sequel that will never happen. So that's the last Airbender, and what else am I supposed to say? It's a bad movie, y'all. Everything about it sucks. The dialogue sucks, the acting sucks, the pacing sucks, and nothing about it justifies its existence. There's a reason this is held as one of the worst adaptations ever, if not the worst adaptation ever. Though, there is one other movie that came out a year before this that is also held as the worst adaptation ever. And I'm considering reviewing it. I'm trying to think of a way to hint at what the movie might be. And I'll just put it right here.
Dragon Ball the movie. High school.